Hi guys, this is Zach with 47th and Broadway, and I'm here to talk about Rocky Horror Picture Show. The reason I want to pick this show is because it's a great show, and I think it needs some discussion. We're going to talk about my favorite songs from the show, and why the songs hold up, and we're going to talk about the soundtrack to the 1975 film, um, and that soundtrack. So a little bit of history about the show. It was written by Richard O'Brien, who plays Riff Raff and does the voice of the opening narrator. And he started writing it one winter in London, and just to entertain his time, and got it with the producer, and it kind of became this pretty big underground hit that they decided to make into a movie. And it didn't do that well at the box office, but it got a cult following. And now it's still showing in theaters. It's one of, or the longest theatrically run movies ever, which is crazy. So it takes out a lot of these B movie themes and has a lot of controversial subject matter at the time, but it's a really good movie and a really good musical. Now, soundtrack wise, I prefer the original Rocky cast a little bit, but there's a lot of good stuff going on here, and I think it still has value, and I think it's still important. We're going to talk about that in this video. So tell me what songs you really like, what really inspires you, and in the comments below. But here we go with the bottom of our list. Superheroes. Superheroes is not my favorite song. I mean, it's my least favorite. It just doesn't. It's a little too sappy, and it just doesn't hit home for me, honestly. I like the performances, I like the guitar riff, but besides that, it just I just don't like it too much. Science fiction double feature, The Reprise. This song, it's similar to the first one, which I do enjoy. It just kind of like sums up the show. Nothing too special about it, but it is a nice closer. And I'm going to talk a little bit more about the opener and how it sets it up when we talk about that song, but it's a nice closer for what is a crazy show. I Can Make You a Man reprise. Similar to what I just said about science fiction double feature, it's just kind of, it's the same song, just a little bit shorter. Kind of just cuts to the rock melody. I like the wedding march theme at the end, and if you really like this song, which I do, then this song will do something for you. But where it stands, I think this is a fair place to put it. I Can Make You a Man. Similar to what I just said about that first song, I want to talk a little bit about Tim Curry, who is this god among men who has done so many awesome shows and movies and voice work. I think I first got to know him in my generation as the dad in The Wild Berries. I think that's what it was called, The Wild Thornberries. And he has just such that distinctive voice that I think the Nostalgia Critic said it best. He can make any bad movie tolerable. Not to say that this is a bad movie, but I mean, he's great. And this is not his first song, but this is another good showcase for him. I like that it kind of starts off a little bit like an opera with this recitative, I can't speak today, style of singing and piano playment, and then it just turns into this rock song. Quite fun. I enjoy it a lot. If you've never listened to it, this is now like starting here on. I'm like, okay, you got to listen to these songs. But yeah, listen to it. It's awesome, and all hail Tim Curry. Eddie. Eddie is kind of an underrated song. I actually do quite enjoy it. It's not my favorite though. I like. Okay, so Meatloaf, who plays Eddie, is in the production of the show. In the original production, he also plays this character who's singing about him, and they chose not to do that. Meatloaf didn't like it, but I think it was for the best choice for the film, honestly. And it has this very, upbeat energy to it. Um, Especially from a character that's not really a singer, like it still makes it interesting, because and that's just what the character is. It's just a really fun, upbeat song. Not too much to say about it besides that. I enjoy listening to it when it comes on. Science fiction double feature. So this is the opening to the show, and if you've never seen the movie, if you watch it for the first time, it's kind of jarring because it opens just with these big red female lips with a male's voice through it. So it kind of sets up that, I don't want to say confusing, but it doesn't draw those barriers that you see in a lot of films, um, especially about gender and sex and everything. So that's kind of cool. And then, the first time I listened to the song, I didn't know what was really going on because I didn't really get the references. Because it's calling a lot of reference to 1930s through the 70s, B movie, campy movies, and that's where this movie is drawing from. So, and after you see the show, you kind of, if you know a little bit about film, you kind of get that influence, and you get that idea, like, oh, okay, so it's supposed to be a little campy and satirical, and a good bad movie, if that makes sense. And I think Richard O'Brien does a great job singing it, and the music is great. It doesn't always connect as much to me, but I mean, it's a good song. I don't have anything bad to say about it. Toucha, toucha, touch me. Let me say that again. Toucha, toucha, touch me. There we go. So this song is kind of a showcase for Susan Sarandon in this movie, and or the character of Janet overall. And what I think makes the song work, especially in the movie, is that it doesn't. Susan Sarandon has such like a soft voice, like a very soft, innocent voice, a doe-eyed face. That when she sings this song, it's just funny because you don't perceive this type of character singing this type of song. That's what makes it work, though, and that's why, even though she doesn't have the nicest voice, great casting. I really enjoy that all the characters come in, at the end with this Creature of the Night bit. It's a lot of fun. A lot of these songs, kind of in the middle, are just really fun songs that. This song I don't always go to. I'm sure there's a lot of people that do because it's a very popular song. I don't always go to it, but I'm sure a lot of people do. But when I do listen to it, I do enjoy myself with this great tune. Over at the Frankenstein Place. So this song, okay, if this was the original Rocky cast, I would be much higher. But as much as I like this, I really do like this song. So let's talk about that first. It's a cool ballad. Our two leads, at this point, have very nice vocal. They're really nice sounding together. They blend well, and it's a really cool slow building song. And what I really like about the original is it's more of a rock beat. It has more rock fills and guitar, and it's the pace is a little bit more. And once I listened to that version and listened to the original cast album, I don't know. The original cast album just doesn't. It's not. It's still a great song, but I just don't like it as much. For the sake of copyright, I'm not going to play the original Rocky cast, but I would highly recommend you listen to it, especially for this song. Excuse me. This song is definitely the most different and interesting. Of a change between the two versions, but overall I still love the song. I mean, it's still one of my favorites. It's just so pleasing to listen to. It's one of those songs you just listen to and you smile because of the melody and music behind it. I can't say anything really more about it, but listen to it if you haven't, and listen to the original Rocky cast too, and let me know what you think. Rose Tint My World. So this song, it's quite long and I always forget about it, but it's a lot of fun. You have all these different characters kind of going out and singing this, their little life story a little bit. Brad's my favorite. I really like Janet's version too. It's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun to watch too, and it's not as memorable to me until like the very end with Tim Curry. Singing the "Rose Tint My World" theme, just hyper paced, as this big, fun, explosive finale it's a joy to listen to. It sets up a lot of plot stuff too, but I don't mind that. It's fun. This is where things start to get really crazy sci-fi, and it's a joy to listen to. It really is. Hot Patootie, Bless My Soul. So this song, it's a great showcase for Meatloaf, who is honestly a great rock singer. I mean, he's gone crazy in the past couple of years, but he's a great rock singer. And, it's kind of cool that this is like how he got to start. Broadway, off Broadway really, but musical theater. But, a rock show, in its essence. And this song is basically just a rock song. You can mix this with other, 70s or 80s rock tunes, and no one would know it's from a musical, because it doesn't really have too much, especially in just the soundtrack. It doesn't have too much. There's not too much of a difference between. Well, I don't know what I'm saying, but there's not too much callback to the plot, right? At least not that you overly think about like other songs. And I really do enjoy it. It's one of my favorite songs to listen to, honestly, because I can just put it on and rock out for 3 minutes, and I don't necessarily have to think about the show. And I'm going to call back to the original Rocky cast for a moment, where I think the original Rocky cast is it picks up the tempo just a little bit to where it makes it even more fun. So listen to that version. Hot Patootie, Bless My Soul. What a fun song. Damn it, Janet. So this song, these next 4 songs, I think are real staples to the shows in different ways. This song is totally different from the other songs, and that's why I love it. It seems like more of a traditional musical number, because it seems a little, not stereotypical, but more what you would see in an average show compared to Rocky Horror, which is why it works. And I think this is one of the more familiar songs with the show too, because it's really good. You got Barry Bostwick in this film and Susan Sarandon, who are just so much fun together on screen. And the melody is catchy, the tempo is upbeat. What I really like is I love the minor characters in the background with the chorus, but they're all just monotone and dead in tone. It makes me smile. It's so much fun. After the first number, a lot of people might be confused what this film's about, and then this song, I think, just brings a lot of fun, joy to the film. So if you've gone this far and you haven't listened to it, listen to it. The Time Warp. So some people might think that this is going to be their number 1 song, and I totally get it. If you've never seen the show or heard about the show and you're into musical theater, you've probably seen someone do the Time Warp, heard someone sing it, seen it on Glee or other movies, because it's the big song from the show. Like, this is the song that would be like the single, the song that gets could get played on the radio, even though they don't really do that with musical theater songs, which I love, honestly. It's really upbeat, has these great rock elements to it. The orchestration is great. The guitar, the drums, the piano, everything else
the piano has all these slides, and like the guitar has all these riffs, and the drum has all these fills that really make it stand out. Um, I remember learning in college. I was with someone who really loved this movie, and she taught me how to do the dance. I've seen the movie before, I'm just not much of a dancer. Um, but um, yeah, I really enjoy the song. I'm sure you do too. It just doesn't, it's like a great rock tune, but I look for a little bit more personal connection, I guess, in like my favorite song. But that doesn't mean that I don't jam out every time I listen to this song. Um, it is great. It still holds up, and I think it's going to be in the one of the more popular musical songs for a long time. I don't think it's going to go anywhere anytime soon. Sweet Transvestite. So this song, uh, it's so weird because, you know, from the opening, like piano, not piano, but like trumpet blares and everything, the build up, it's all like a lot is building up to this moment where you get to see this Dr. Frankenfurter, and it's the song doesn't not live up to the potential. It's a great rock ballad that has like a lot of exposition. It's basically just telling the story about how he's making this creature, um, and what he is, and how he wants them to stay there, with an excellent performance by Tim Curry, especially in this role. I mean, Tim Curry. There's a lot of movies that you see a main protagonist, and they kind of just come and go, right? Especially in a lot of like summer action films, but this character you think about for a while. At least I do, because he's so much fun, so charismatic, so serious, so scary, so everything. And this is his showcase to really show that off to the audience, and he doesn't disappoint. Um, some things that I think I like. I mean, the anticipation. I mean, anytime I hear that word, I have to, make a call back to Rocky Horror somehow. Or I like it when Brad and Janet come in with their audio, especially on the, um, movie soundtrack. It just sounds like they pulled it from the movie. Like they didn't have them come in to do it. Like it seems like kind of jarring that way, but it still works because I still think Tim Curry is singing to these guys. And I also love, his like eye movements. Um, anytime he has a close up on him, he's always, he's talking back to the audience. He's doing a lot of fourth wall breaking stuff here. Um, and it's just a great rock tune overall, too. And, I'm kind of like rambling a little bit, but the song goes in a lot of different places. And it's hard to say exactly why I like it for one reason, but because it's a bunch of different reasons. Um, yeah, I mean, great song, great tune, nothing else to say. And here's my number one. I'm Going Home. So when I first started listening and re-listening to the soundtrack for this video, I honestly didn't think that I'm Going Home would be my number one. But I think about this song more than I know it. So I recently had a big move. I moved from Wyoming to Michigan. It was about a 19-hour trip, and I was listening to the Sirius XM on Broadway station, and this song came up, and for some reason I just kind of cried. And I didn't really think about this song too much, before that. And then I started listening to the soundtrack again, and I started really, I tend to like Act 1 a little bit more than Act 2 of this show, but I started going back to this song and, really listening to what it's saying and giving my all to it. And it just hits me on an emotional level every time. Tim Curry is really great here, in how, just how emotional and serious he gets in this role at this part of the show, and I absolutely love it. The lyrics are great. Um, I've seen blue skies through the tears in my eyes, and I realized I'm going home. It doesn't say whether it's a good or bad thing. I think it kind of leaves it open to the listener, which I really enjoy in my music. I don't like to be spoon fed. I don't need that yet. I'm not an old man, not yet. So, this song just hits it on an emotional level for me that um, that and just every time just makes me feel something, and I think that's important in a show, and I think it comes in at a great part of this show that will leave the audience in tears and leave them with something. Even if they after the fun tunes, I think this might leave them with something. Maybe I'm wrong, maybe I'm overthinking it, but it's my favorite song from the show, and I want to know yours. Thank you guys for listening. I'm going to be trying out a couple different new formats while I'm moving and getting things set up, but I am going to try to do weekly videos and get these things out here. But please tell me how I can better the channel. It's still relatively new, and we'll go from there. Share your thoughts, comments, all that jazz, and I'll see you next week. Take care.